Hey, once again, there is an elephant in the room that we have to talk about. Hi, I'm Scoot, and welcome to the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. Hey, let me mention very quickly that the Scoot on the Air YouTube video tonight is brought to you by Generations Hall. An 80s night with Scoot at Generations Hall coming up on Saturday, July 17th. The 80s start at 8. So Generations Hall called me, and they have yet to officially reopen following the pandemic. So they called me on the air, and they want to reopen with a full-blown 80s night, because I've talked about it a lot on the show. There's no more 80s night in the quarter. And so we're going to have like an 80s night to remember. It's just going to be fun. So I hope you'll come join us. We're going to dance to the 80s and cut up. And Generations Hall is going to have their grand reopening with this 80s night. And you can find tickets right now by going to themetronola.com. I think tickets are only $10 now. I mean, they may go up at some point, but they're only $10 now. And the proceeds are going to benefit the Louisiana Hospitality Foundation, which helps a lot of people who are still in need of help from the pandemic. Okay, so I got a call on the show today from a guy, and I was talking about Bill Cosby. And I was talking about how Bill Cosby has just ripped into Howard University. Felicia Rashad, who was Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show, she is a dean at Howard University. As soon as Bill Cosby was released from prison, she went on social media and said, "A miscarriage of justice is corrected." She was excited. She was thrilled for Bill Cosby. A miscarriage of justice is corrected. Bullshit. Bill Cosby got out because of a technicality. He deserves to be out of prison, but it is total bullshit that this is a miscarriage of justice. Again, because the prosecutor screwed up, he deserves to be out. You can't abuse the system of justice by making a deal with somebody, a suspect, and then going back on the deal. You can't do it. I mean, we have to have enough respect for the system of justice to just totally condemn that. So I understand why Bill Cosby's out, but he admitted to what he did. He even paid a woman because of what he did to her. Bill Cosby admitted to drugging women for the purpose of having sex with them. He would drug them. He would put a drug in their drink without them knowing it. And when they would get to the point of being almost unconscious, the man would have sex with them. Now, how disgusting is that? Bill Cosby is out. He may be free from prison, but he should not be free from what he did. And I am not going to stop criticizing Bill Cosby for what he did. Bill Cosby hit Howard University with some criticism, saying, "Howard University, you must support one's freedom of speech, which is taught or supposed to be taught every day at that renowned law school, which resides on your campus." So Bill Cosby was defending Felicia Rashad and her support of him. What a shit show. Yeah, Felicia Rashad has freedom of speech, and we also have the freedom to criticize her. And a lot of students and a lot of alum and Howard University itself condemned what Felicia Rashad did. In fact, she even walked back on her comments, saying that she basically was fully supporting survivors of sexual assault and supporting them coming forward. "My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. My heartfelt wish is for healing." So Felicia Rashad actually walked back on her comment. So fuck Bill Cosby and fuck this criticism. You know, honestly, this guy who called the show today was calling me out. First of all, he said he's black. He said that I am insulting the black community by criticizing Bill Cosby. Bullshit. First of all, I asked him, when were you anointed the spokesperson for the entire black community? I've always had great support from the black community on the air. And it's because of who I am. It's because of my ongoing crusade for equality and trying to understand other people. So I wasn't about to take that shit that, I'm some kind of a racist. In fact, the caller is the racist because he is defending Bill Cosby and says you can't criticize him essentially because of his race. That is freaking racism. And it's disgusting that people can't differentiate between race and behavior. I never said anything about Bill Cosby being black, never said anything about race. I have simply condemned Bill Cosby's fucking behavior. It's disgusting. It's deplorable. It is the epitome of the worst men can be. Taking advantage, using in this case, Bill Cosby used his wealth. In fact, that's another thing the caller brought up. Oh, well, Bill Cosby has hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, he could buy anybody. What a crock of shit. Because somebody has money doesn't mean they're not capable of doing something wrong. Jeffrey Epstein. Do you think that caller would be defending Jeffrey Epstein? He's got money. He can afford to buy people. So let him buy them. No, they're underage girls. Now, Bill Cosby didn't screw around with underage girls. But over 60 women came forward and complained about him sexually abusing them over the years. This goes back to I think maybe even the 60s. So Bill Cosby, who in the 80s became known as America's dad, is a bullshit artist. And I'll be damned if I'm going to be concerned about criticizing somebody because somebody might get offended because they're black. This is what's wrong with this country. And there's racism on both sides. And it's just, it's appalling to somehow like make excuses for Bill Cosby. What, you're so afraid that, a black person gets criticized and you're so freaked out over that? Why? There were people who did the same thing with O.J. Simpson, but this is not representative of the black community in the United States of America. I'm not black, but I know that. In fact, the first caller that I had on the show today was from a black gentleman who said, Scoot, don't let that guy bother you. Don't let people like that bother you. I had a couple of other calls from black listeners. Said the same thing. It doesn't bother me personally, but it bothers the shit out of me because it is representative of the way some people think. You criticize a person for their behavior, and if they're black, oh, it's because they're black? Bullshit. It's because of what he fucking did. That is what we're criticizing. That son of a bitch may be free from prison, but he should not be free from what he did. Judge that son of a bitch. I do. I will. And then Bill Cosby has the gall, the audacity to talk about maybe going back out on a comedy tour. What the fuck? A comedy tour? I talked today about maybe a few of the punchlines that might be at the end of some of his jokes on his comedy tour after his prison sentence. Maybe the punchline in one could be, oh, all of my vodka tastes that way, because he put shit in it. Or maybe it would be, Um, that wasn't a pudding pop. Or maybe a punchline could be, well, at least she was alive. I mean, come on, don't you realize what this man did? It's what Darren Sharper did. It's. I guess it's kind of close to what Harvey Weinstein did. I don't know if he drugged the girls, but Bill Cosby used his money and his power to have sex with women who were basically unconscious. This doesn't have a damn thing to do with his race. It has everything to do with his behavior. And we cannot be afraid to address behavior. I don't care if you're white, black, whatever. We have to get to the point in this country where we are willing to accept criticism of behavior. That's where we need to be. Thank you for joining me here on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. I hope you have subscribed. If you haven't, please subscribe. It's free. And we give you a notice every time we do something live. And don't forget, 80s Night coming up at Generations Hall in New Orleans, Saturday, July 17th. The 80s start at 8. Shane Love, the great 80s DJ, who was one of the prime 80s DJs at One Eye Jack's 80s Night in the Quarter, he's going to be on stage. And we're going to have some dancers, and they're going to decorate. It's going to be a lot of fun. And remember, you can get your tickets now at themetronola.com. Thanks for joining me. And join me on my radio show tomorrow afternoon on WWL. And if you haven't downloaded the app yet, download the Odyssey app, AUDACY, and type in WWL, and you've got our show wherever you've got your phone.